Hi everybody, Carol Garrison here with Carol's Creative Escape. It is Monday, July 22nd, and it's time for another Make It Monday. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules to join me tonight on this live video. My goal as a card maker is to simply spread joy one card at a time, and I do that through my video tutorials, teaching others to be creative and make cards, and I also do that simply by sharing my cards with those around me. So I'm hoping I can inspire some of you tonight to spread that joy one card at a time as well. I apologize for not being here last week. I was out of town over the weekend and things didn't pan out for me to be able to go live on Monday. We've had a great week here, got caught up on stuff over the weekend. We're finally getting a little bit of break from some of the heat that we've had. We had a good storm roll through earlier tonight. I think the heat will come back later this weekend, but all is good. So I'm going to take, I want to give two quick commercials. Just as a reminder, right now Stampin' Up! Has a bonus days where you can get an extra $5 gift card credit on your account for making purchases. That's good through the end of July. I believe the total you have to have is a $75 purchase to get a $5 coupon for use in August. But the other thing that I want to let you know about is tomorrow, one day only, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, it's another free shipping day. You can get free shipping on all orders over $75. So if you've got some things you've been holding out on getting, tomorrow might be the day because you can save some money and get that free shipping. So let's jump right in. Today I'm going to show you how to make a card. I'm calling it the I can't even remember what I called it as I was writing my notes. I think I called it the center card fold. I honestly don't totally remember. Unbounded Love Corner Fold card. That's what I called it. So what I would like to do is just flip things over and get started on showing you this card. Tonight I am featuring, excuse me while I start flip-flopping stuff. Tonight I am featuring the Unbounded, whoops, well that didn't go so well, the Unbounded Designer Series paper. This is some paper that you've seen me use quite a few times now. It is a watercolor paper. Sorry, my camera stand seems to have loosened up a little bit, so I'm going to try to tighten it so it doesn't drop down on us here, and then I will get everything else set up according to that. Anyhow, it's the Unbounded it's the Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper and the Unbounded Love stamp sets that I'm using. Sorry. Try to create some new card stuff that we've got going here by combining names. We're not quite straight yet. And you know how I am. If I'm not quite straight, I got to keep manipulating until I get there. All right. Good. We're not going to touch anything else now. I think we've got it. I'll get that cord out of the way. Whew, perfect. So anyhow, the stamp set that I'm featuring is this Unbounded Love stamp set. It's just a group of sentiments. Some of it typed, some of it in an embossed, or not an embossed, in a cursive font. And I am actually using these top 6 stamps tonight. Hope, love, faith. Those are 3 things that are really important to me. Just as a way of living, I think you need to have all those parts to help contribute towards a happy life. And so I'm using kind of how they're paired up. Hope is believing in a brighter tomorrow. Love never gives up. And faith is being sure of what we cannot see. And faith, I think, sometimes can be the hardest one. Not even so much going down a religious sense with that, but just sometimes just having faith that the rough patches we're going through will actually work out for the best as we work our way through it. A little bit heavy conversation there. Sorry about that. And then I'm also featuring the Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper. And again, that's just this beautiful watercolor paper that can emit so many emotions, memories, that sort of thing. And so I've created 2 of the cards already, with the exception of adding some embellishments, because when I got them done, I really felt like they needed something more than what they had so far. So we're going to kind of work on that here together tonight. And then the other thing I did with this card is I made a template. And so I'll show you what I did. This is just kind of how my brain works, I guess. And how I see things. Sometimes I have a hard time getting things lined up as I'm cutting. And so my little template helps me cut and fold just a teeny bit. So these are 2 of the cards, that I have finished so far. This first one is Faith, and on the inside is being sure of what we cannot see. And Hope is the second card, and it's believing in a brighter tomorrow. And I've just used one of the scraps. This is a 6x6 piece of paper. So I've just used one of the scraps to help decorate on the inside of my cards. Now on this particular card, I did use my green glue here to glue down the corners. On this one, I've left the corners kind of standing up a little bit just to give some dimension. And I just wanted you to see that these could be done any way that you wanted to with those. And I am going to pull out some of my embellishments and try to come up with a good combination for these cards. And I didn't like what I have in that bin. Let's jump over to this one. And I'm thinking maybe on here we can use these. Just to add a little depth to that. The pearls I'm using on here are the Blooming Pearls, and I'm not really even going to give you the colors because there's a pink tone, a gold tone, kind of a goldish greenish tone, and then a bluish greenish tone. And I think that adds just a little bit to this one. And then that leaves this one. And boy, I don't know what I'm going to put on there. These are all... I don't think the diamonds are going to go on there real well. Let's see. You know, maybe if we just come back to... You've seen me use... that's kind of heavy too. All right, you know what? I'm going to go back to this pack again, and we're going to pull the gold ones off. And maybe instead of doing all 4 corners, we're just going to put one here, and then we'll put a little one up here, and a little one right there. And that's just a way... Got a little hair in there. You know, and if we wanted, we could even put something here and something here so that we have a nice pattern going. Get the dog hair out of there. Okay. Just a little pattern like that. You can kind of do what you want, but I just felt like it needed a little bit more. And now by playing a little bit, I've pulled up too much on that. So I'm going to get a little glue dot, and we'll get this one put back on here once we're done with our video tonight, just so that it's more aligned. It's not even right now, but I don't need to take your time doing that. So let me show you how to make this card. And again, I'm using 6x6 paper because that happened to be what I grabbed, but honestly, you can use any of your paper. And I wanted to make a series using the same designer series paper so that I could use those 3 stamps. So basically what I've got here is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of the Petunia Pop cardstock. and we have scored it at 4 1/4, and we're just going to burnish it along the score line so we've got a good crisp fold. Now you'll notice I immediately flipped it over because it hangs over just a little bit on this side. When you do that on the front, nobody knows that it's hanging over just a little bit. Saves you time. You don't have to do a lot of fussing. The next thing I have is a 4 1/4 by 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white cardstock. This piece measures 5 1/4 by 1/2 inch, and it's a scrap from when I was trimming the other pieces that I've got. I have a second piece of 5 1/4 by 4 basic white cardstock, and then I have 4 pieces of designer series paper, and I gotta see if I can get it put back together in the right way. These 4 pieces measure measure 1 7/8 by 2 1/2. So you'll have 4 of those. Now when I cut mine, I cut them across and down so that they fit together like a puzzle. So if you didn't see the cut marks, they'd be fitting together like a puzzle very nicely. A couple things that I did as I was working with this, the first time I made it, I just scored and kind of guessed on the lines, and I didn't always get an even opening here. And so I took some of my chipboard, it's just the heavier piece that comes behind some of our cardstock or some of our glimmer paper, something like that, and I created a template. I used this because it was thick. And so I've got this piece measuring 2 1/2 by 1 7/8. And what I'm doing with this is just figuring out where I'm supposed to score each of these pieces of paper to get that crisp fold. And so I found it best if I kept this laid out how I was going to do it. That way I knew I was putting the score line in the right place. And I'm here and I'm just going to draw that line right there. And then to get this piece, I'm rotating it. And again, I'm just drawing a light pencil line right there. It's not going to show because I'm folding it over, flipping it again so that I can match the right angle that I need here. And then finally flipping it back this way. And again, this is the same dimensions, same measurement as each of these squares. It's 2 1/2 by 1 7/8. And then you could just fold along that line, but again, my brain doesn't always think that way, and I like to have nice crisp score lines. And so I'm going to take each of these papers and I'm going to set it up so that the line is right in the trough, and I'm going to run my score blade right over that pencil mark so I've got a good crisp fold there. Now, interestingly enough, that isn't showing up real well on that piece of paper. Maybe I thought I did it. We'll find out in a minute. So we're going to run it there, and I am going to put together my card pieces as I work through this, just to make sure that I've got each score line where it's supposed to be. The first time I didn't really do this, and I ended up scoring some of the corners. So I just found, even though it's a little bit of an extra step up front, it actually saved me a little bit of time because I was sure I was putting each of these marks in the right spot. Okay, now I can kind of see that pencil mark, now that I know where it's supposed to be. Whoops. Okay, and there we go. Now we've got our 4 score lines. Now normally, if you've watched my videos, you know that I generally do all of my stamping before I assemble my cards. This card is going to be total opposite, because I actually need to put my card together so that I know where to add my final stamp. So kind of the opposite of what I've done in the past, but it works. So we're going to just take and start folding these back along the score line. I'm going to use my bone folder so that I'm sure I get a nice crisp fold line. We'll do the same on this one. The same here. And the same here. Okay, and now once again I'm going to just sort of assemble my pieces, make sure I've got everything in the right spot. And I actually, seeing both of these, I am going to leave my flaps so that they fold up a little bit. I like that it gives a little dimension to my card as to, you know, opposed to being down flat like this. It can really go either way. My preference is to have the corners stick up. Now, one of the great things about making your own cards is you get to choose whether you want your flaps down or up. You can do differently. Sometimes that can be the difference between copying a card and making it your own. Do what works best for you. I am going to put this down in the corner, and I'm just going to tap that corner down. That way, if I need to make any adjustments, I can do that. And spacing, you know, get it as close as you can, but don't stress a whole lot. It's a homemade card. It isn't exactly going to be perfect. And we're dealing with such narrow margins that sometimes it can be hard to get it exactly even. Okay, and there's that one. And I also think if you were to mass produce this card, which would be fairly easy to do, if you're assembling them all, you know, kind of back to back, that spacing is going to work out pretty naturally after a while. You're going to have it figured out. And there we go. And so now we've got this card primarily assembled. We are going to take our Petunia Pop and the Love stamp, and these are the photopolymer stamps, so it's always good to add a little bit of cushion. So I just use a piercing mat, and I'm kind of using these lines to help me get my stamp on here straight too. And I just noticed I've got a little speck on my stamp, and I picked it up, and we're not going to worry about it. We've got Love, and then the reason I put this on first is I wanted to make sure when I'm putting Never Gives Up, I wanted it to be centered on the white space, not on the whole width of this, but just on this white space. And I meant to do it on one of the other cards, and I forgot about it. So it just is there as a reminder. You know, I put it on first just as a reminder for me, for spacing. You could put it on afterwards if you want. It just was the visual cue that I needed to make sure I got that in the correct place. Okay. Then the rest of this card is easy to assemble. We'll start with the inside, and I'm just going to put adhesive on the back of this. And we'll center this on the inside of our card, like that. And then we'll come back with this, and we'll go this way and add this adhesive. And I kind of like to open my cards up when I'm putting the front on. You've seen me do that before in videos. For some reason, it helps me center better. And I think that's because the score line actually shows up a little bit more for me in the light. I don't have a good reason for it otherwise. For some reason, I don't know. This just doesn't help me. So you oftentimes will see me do that while I'm making cards. This one, I know I want to have some sparkle on it. And so we're just going to add a couple of our rhinestone basic jewels here. And you know, I'm picking these up with my fingernails, and I really shouldn't, because I actually have better placement visual if I use my take your pick tool. And here, I think I'm going to put these in a slightly different location. And again, it just adds a little focal on the center. And I don't really like how that looks, so I don't usually use this much bling on one card, but we're going to. We're talking about love here. It needs a little more sparkle. And we'll just border the inside of the square just like that. All right. See, even I have to change my thought process every once in a while when I'm making my cards here. That's all part of making cards. You visualize it in your head. Sometimes it works exactly like you think, and sometimes it needs a little tweaking. And so I just tweaked this card. So now we've got just this lovely, lovely gift set that we could give to somebody for faith, hope, and love. And I think anybody would be happy to get this in the mail and to be able to share them then with somebody else as well. Now, because I do have all these rhinestones on here, I would recommend putting kind of a postcard thickness, heavier piece of cardstock in front of these when you mail them, just so that there's no problem getting them through the postage machine. I have found that works really well. The other thing is, if you put these in a gift box, you could just hand them to somebody the way they are. I would also probably decorate the outside of the envelope with some of this designer paper so that they match the cards too. Totally up to you with how you want to further embellish or enhance the cards that we're working with. So it's a quick video tonight. I hope that you have enjoyed it, that you're going to give this a try. I'm thinking this would make a great Christmas card. If we have a little stamp that, says Merry Christmas right in here, and some Christmas paper that you could cut up this way, it would make a really bright Christmas card, easy to mass produce, and you'd kind of be on your way then for the holidays. And if you even wanted to save some time and not mess with folding the corners, you could just put these 4 rectangles on and die cut some circles or squares or something to put in the middle with your sentiment too, and that could save some time. It kind of defeats the purpose of doing this part, but again, if you're trying to speed up to mass produce, that could be a way to save a step or two in your card making. So have a great week, everybody. Thanks again for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget, tomorrow, July 23rd, 2024, it is no shipping on orders over $75. And you can also then take advantage of the bonus days that are out there too right now. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Bye-bye.